Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Global Fashioning Assembly. Today is actually the eighth day, and we are now in Ghana, and we welcome you. So the Global Fashioning Assembly is a coordinated fashion assembly across the world, consisting of 20 communities in 26 countries across 6 continents. So today we are having Bee and her team, and you're excited to have her here. Have a look at the rest of our catalog of events and join us. Thank you.
Greetings from Accra, Ghana. Ghana International Fashion Team is excited to host the Global Fashioning Assembly from our parts of the world today. For this year's presentation, we have chosen 4 important topics: waste colonialism, fast fashion, and upcycling and recycling of used clothing and textiles. Together with my team members, Efo Sela, Eresi Ansa, Faustina Pia, and Frederick Bamfo, we will be delving into these topics, and we invite you to join us. This is Faustina Pia. Faustina Pia is the owner of 4 Style Clothing, a fashion design label that practices sustainable fashion. Faustina, thank you so much for joining the Ghana International Fashion Team for this year's edition. I would like you, despite the fact I've already introduced you, I would like you to tell GFA members and participants in your own words who exactly you are and what it is exactly that you do.
Okay. Thank you so much, V. I'm Faustina Pia, the CEO of 4 Style Clothing. 4 Style Clothing is a fashion brand that has been in existence for the past 10 years. So 4 Style Clothing has 4 pillars. We have the normal sewing shops where we produce collections for people to wear. We have the canvas paintings, like an art gallery production. And then we have the fabric department. And finally, we have the mobile alteration van, locally known as Adieye. It's a Ghanaian language, Akan to be specific, and it means the fixer or repairer.
Fantastic. So Faustina, I know now who you are and I know what you do. What I would like you to tell myself and our participants, spectators, is why do you do what you do? Because you practice sustainable fashion to an extent. I do know that you buy, fabric, textiles, brand new, and then you create your own collection. No matter what, you don't dispose of all the excess. It somehow finds its way on canvases or onto canvases, and you also use it to embellish some used clothing in addition to new ones. So what I would like to know is, where is this inspiration or influence coming from? As unfortunately, it's not the common practice in Ghana specifically. I would not spread that to the entire continent. Since we are in Ghana, I think let's stay focused and keep it to our country specifically. The average designer in Ghana today, sadly, is not practicing sustainable fashion. And you are one of the few designers that I've met who, to some extent at least, is trying to upcycle or recycle fabrics. So I'm extremely interested, where does this come from? Where is the inspiration for, upcycling fabric coming from?
Okay, I think for starters, it has to come with the passion for fashion. I've loved fashion from infancy, and growing up, I saw my mom save clothes by stitching. When you have an issue with your outfit, we don't throw it away. She would rather sit by the machine, take her time to mend it, and the love that comes with a new or revamped cloth, it's even more. So I think the passion is from that angle. in the olden days, we had people coming around carrying the machines and knocking on doors to mend clothes for us. It was pretty an inspiration for me. So when I got into fashion, I was like, this area, there is something there to be fixed. And it started with the fact that we would deliver normal clothes to people and we will have to probably fix it before we leave. Okay. So that is where I found the problem, decided to fix that problem of the fitting issue. And then Adiye, or the mobile van, came into mind. So we would go to people's houses just to fix clothes that we have done for them. And then they'll bring old clothes for us to fix. As a business person, it just clicked to me that why don't I do this full time? And it's amazing. We get calls coming in all the time. Can you fix my clothes? Is this the mobile van? Can you please come to my house and fix? So that is where the passion and everything came from, to solve a problem in the society.
This is absolutely fabulous. So what I got from what you said is the initial inspiration came from home.
Yeah.
So it comes back to how you are brought up, your family context really plays an important role in shaping your mindset and your attitude.
Yes.
So this whole throwaway attitude that we tend to all, or majority of us have today, where we buy cheap clothes, talking about fast fashion, and then we discard them. Back in the day, people were always fixing their clothes. Would you say that was due to poverty? What was the reason why we were fixing our clothes before? Did we simply cherish our clothes a little bit more? Were they better quality, so then we didn't want to discard them? Or is it because we were too poor? Or I'm just trying to understand what happened to us.
So for me, I think for my household, I would talk for myself. I don't think it was poverty. I think it was about the production of the prints. In the olden days, we had the Holland that were expensive African prints. We had the tie and dye.
You mean the Dutch wax prints?
Yes.
That are imported from Holland and we now call African prints.
Yes.
Okay. Just so we're clear,
yes.
Those are imported prints from the Netherlands.
Yes.
Made for Africa.
Yes.
Which we call African. Okay, we're clear with that. Go on.
So my mom would fix them, not out of poverty, but sometimes it's not really out of shape to be thrown away.
Okay.
It's not
so
really
so
out
then
of
you're
shape.
coming to my point. It means that because the Dutch wax or Hollandais, as we refer to, was expensive, and it sometimes becomes a heirloom, isn't it? It's passed down from mother to daughter, and down, all the way, to grandchildren. We cherished it, so it wasn't something that you would easily discard. Which brings you back to my initial question: do you think that basically we throw away things now just because they're cheap?
For starters, yes.
Okay.
Easy come, easy go.
All right.
Now we have this fast fashion companies that are producing a lot into the system. And we buy it so cheap that if we are just throwing them away, we don't feel it's something that should be kept.
Right.
And also, I think lack of creativity on the part of our designers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you please expand on that a little bit?
I think designing an outfit from the scratch really gives you a lot of freedom as a designer.
Okay.
But being given an old cloth to revamp or redesign takes you kind of outside your comfortable zone.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. But so it takes a special craft to say I renovate.
Okay.
Because you have to look at the outfits, consider the fits, the fabric combination, if you're adding something else to it, and the total outcome, if it will be okay for the customer.
All right.
So it takes a lot of creativity.
Which you don't lack.
Which I don't lack. And which I would advise the young designers coming up to look at, because it's something that has a huge market and something that will take care of our ecosystem.
That is wonderful. So I'm in absolute agreement with you regarding that. I believe that just like your parents instilled this attitude of you cherish things, you don't discard them, it falls on designers like yourself, me, Little Big AC, to now educate the younger generation and make them understand that clothes, I sometimes say that clothes are like my family.
Yeah.
You don't throw away your friends, you don't throw away your family. Why should you throw away your clothing? Especially because I also believe that once an outfit is even, let's be honest, some outfits are damaged beyond a state where you think that you could repair them. But I still believe that even then, you could, I don't know, cut them up and use them as a mop, try and salvage whatever bits and pieces.
Yes.
Maybe they could become little coin purses, bags,
and then kitchen accessories.
Kitchen accessories.
There are a lot to be done.
But then let's be honest also, Faustina, you are not a seamstress, are you?
I do stitch.
Oh, lucky you. I don't.
Okay.
I do not.
A part of our DAA,
Yes.
is that we have short courses for stay-home moms.
Oh, fabulous.
Yes, we do short courses for stay-home moms who want to learn how to sew. Because in the olden days, our mothers had that skill to sew.
Fantastic.
Even if it's not from the scratch, it is they could mend an outfit.
Was it not part of their curriculum in most schools back in the day, where most girls were taught, I think it was called home science.
Yes, exactly.
Where you needed to know basics, of basics. You didn't have to become a professional seamstress or designer, but you needed to know how to use the regular hand machine like the one we have here.
So aside mending the clothes for them, we have short courses where we actually rent our machines to you.
Impressive.
Yes.
This is wonderful.
Some people don't, some mothers would love the act of sewing, but they are not sure as to how to go about it and all that. So we come to you, then we say, hey, we will take you through sewing. We have a shop that has come to your house. So come take the course with us on how to, we start with mending things at home. If you are interested, if you are good at it, then you can buy your machine, your sewing machine.
Faustina, I find what you said regarding giving women an opportunity to learn how to sew, I find that absolutely empowering. I love it when women empower other women. I think it's important, especially in our parts of the world. So kudos, that's a brilliant idea. I would like you to tell me about some of the challenges you faced thus far, and then of course follow it up with the successes that you want to share.
I think the challenges started with how do you design the van, how to work with the space, and how you could carry the machines from one point to the other. Because in the olden days, they just carried it on their shoulders and they would go around. This time, we are creating a small space, a professional space where we have all professional machines coming on board. So it took a lot of designing. It took a lot of try and errors to get everything together. And then we had to think about power. When we get to the person's house, how do we tap power? If there is no source of power, what do you do? Then we had to build a standby generator. We had to wire the whole cabin. Yes, for all that. Because this time we are coming with a professional shop.
Sure.
Not just the sewing machine. We are coming with a knitting machine. We are coming with other sewing machines that we have to get power. I think so far that was one of the challenges. Then when the shop was ready, another challenge was getting a rider and a tailor on board. So then we had to build an extra seat with a seat belt for protection and all that. So it all had to do with designing the van.
Sure.
When this was done, we now had to work on the minds of the designers, on the safety and how they could relate to customers when they get to their premises, because we had to behave as professional as possible.
Sure.
So we had to train designers to come on board. Some of them were scared to get on the bike. for safety reasons and all that. But we were able to cross that hurdle, and it was okay. Another difficulty was finances. It took a lot of money to build the bike, so if it was a problem, but because of passion and determination, and I was looking at the brighter future. So it's not easy for a normal fashion designer, somebody from the scratch, to build this. It's financially detailing, and you have to get resources for this.
Yes, and we're in Ghana. I know how difficult it is for us creatives to actually convince institutions to come on board and support us. And hopefully, I do know that there was a conference yesterday at the AICC, Accra International Conference Center, something to do with the culture policy that is being reviewed. I hope that this eventually changes the mindset of both, people in politics, people who are at the helm of financial institutions with regards to supporting our sector. Yeah. Now, just before we go on to your successes, just playing the devil's advocate here, you do cater to mostly affluent clientele in it, because like the regular Joe cannot really afford to call you for you to come and fix their their torn shirt or their ripped jean. So the good thing is that you are not taking the daily bread away from the regular adieye seamstresses and tailors who still walk around.
Well, I don't think so, because looking at the culture of Ghanaians, I would look at the working class people. These people are focused on finishing.
Sure.
It's not only about mending their clothes for them. Those who carry the machines around probably have less colors of thread.
True.
So when they come to your house and you give them a red dress and they have a green thread, they would fix your red dress with a green thread. But we come.
That's a new trend.
we come with everything professional. So we target the working class people.
Okay. A little bit more discerning customers.
Yes. Okay. Looking at the costs of maintaining the van.
Sure.
Because we have to look at fuel, we have to look at paying the rider and getting an extra professional on board and all that. This everything here requires income. So we just structure it in a way to cater for people who could call us for the professional stage.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So Faustina, let's talk about at least one or two of your successes. And what do you define as success? I think everybody has their own definition or perception of what success is. For somebody is to have 1 million likes on Instagram. For somebody is to have $1 million or CDs in their bank account. What does success mean to you as an entrepreneur, as a creative, as a woman?
For starters, success to me is a smile on a customer's face. The satisfaction they get when we leave their premises. Success to me is more or less like having an idea in your head, being able to manifest it, going through the nooks and crannies and making it work. Success to me is getting to a customer's house with a DA and the kids would ask, "Hey, mommy, what is this?" And the mothers are able to tell them, "This is what we used to do, and this is back." It is being revamped, and it is something that suits our kind of lifestyle now.
Amazing. I was just waiting for you to say that so I could drop my favorite word, sankofa.
Sankofa.
I was just waiting to drop the word, which for us, I believe that sankofa encapsulates the meaning of decoloniality when it comes to fashioning, at least in Ghana, whereby we are going back to practices, of course, that we've abandoned because of modernity. We think that, okay, it's not hip, it's not trendy, it's like, fast. We're basically, we're living the fast life now. So I think that sankofa is like, go back check and see what is worked for us in the past that we could bring back, maybe adjust it, modify it, just like you have done. You know, you don't walk around with the sewing machine on your shoulder, but you're providing a similar service, which I find absolutely fabulous. So where do you see this going? What's the future of what you are doing of for style clothing concept? Where do you see this going?
I want to provide the bikes to people, liaise it to them, the designers, so that when they work with it after a time, it will become theirs.
Okay, so it's kind of like a lease to own concept.
We are looking at providing as many as possible, as many as we can. In this way, we are able to set up already for designers who are ready to work in this aspect.
Great.
The setup is already there.
So I just want to intervene quickly here. You need finances for that. You need support.
Yes.
Is anybody supporting you?
Not so far.
Nobody's supporting. So you are self-financing or pre-financing everything. And yet you are already inviting young designers to come and join, to come on board. And
because I see a bright future with us.
Sure.
They are ready to work.
Okay.
But finances is a problem. Setup is a problem. So I see myself being the bridge between those two problems. And when they do this, they are able to start up from somewhere, reach out to customers under a brand. Because in Africa or in this modern time, we work with brands. We buy based on brands. We relate based on brands. So they need to be under an umbrella of a brand so that their talent and their creativity would also be known.
Great. And in this case, it's a environmentally conscious brand.
Yes.
So then I think what we need to pitch or you know what, the point we need to drive home now is that it is now cool to be practicing sustainable fashion.
Yes.
That it's totally uncool now to practice something that just goes on to have, continue having a devastating, in our case, a devastating impact on the environment. Because as you very well know, in addition to the waste that we inevitably create whilst we are producing clothing, we also have millions and millions of tons of used clothing being dumped on us.
All the time.
It's not helping, with thousands of, rather millions of tons of used clothing coming into the system, and then we also adding with our waste. I don't think that this will take us anywhere good.
Of course.
So this is really terrible, and I'm glad that there are people like yourself who are, trying to solve a problem whilst empowering other women, whilst giving opportunities to young designers. So tell me about any collaborators that you would want to acknowledge who work with you currently.
So far, I have fashion designers from universities that I work with as national service personnel, and they have been amazing. I have a painter who actually looked at the pieces and it's like, I can work with this. So we have pieces from the shop, then we put back onto the canvas and we paint them, and it's marvelous. I would acknowledge Richmond Shang, and I have another student, Maggie, all from KNUST.
Kwame
Nkrumah Technical University.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic.
They've been amazing.
Fantastic. I think that's great. This is very encouraging. Any piece of advice, anything that you think I didn't ask you that you would want to share with the GFA? I mean, we will continue the conversation after, but I mean, if there's anything you would want to add to what you've already said.
Okay, so for what I would add to whatever you said is that Africa is now like a dumping site for fast-lane fashion clothes. We can't take them back to them. We just have to look for a way to minimize how we also dispose them onto the ecosystem.
Absolutely.
So we have to, the designers out there, please come out. Let's work on this. let's save clothes, let's save used clothes, let's be creative, let's work something out. There is a lot to be done with these things that we find. We can put value on these clothes and put them back into the market and make a lot of profit from them.
Now, before I let you go, I'm just being the devil's advocate here. Now, which designer, honestly, goes to fashion school or doesn't go to fashion school like I never did, comes out thinking, oh, I want to spend my life upcycling somebody's used old clothing that they've come to dump on me? Most of us as creatives, we aspire to create our own. We want to buy new fabrics, create our own designs. None of us really come out thinking, okay, I'm going to spend my life just going to, people's homes to mend their torn clothes and to put patches on them, or take people's used clothes that they don't want to throw away and then now redesign them. None of us really comes out like that. So do you think that the curriculum, the focus of fashion designing curriculums also needs to be somehow slightly adapted to reflect our times in some of these institutions?
Obviously.
Yes.
Obviously.
And then what is the ripple effect on our craftsmen? Because we have people who weave, we have people who weave kente, we have people who make batiks, right, tie and dyes. They need, that is their source of income. They need to make a living. So if you and I only start revamping used clothes, who is going to be buying the kentes, the fugus, the batiks, and the tie and dyes? Who's going to be buying those fabrics? And how will those people survive?
It would amaze you,
Yes.
the markets for these different sections.
Okay.
When I started the mobile van, that is when I realized people have a lot of alterations. People have a lot of things to be fixed. The same people have the desire to get new designs worn. So there is market for everybody. The sky is the limit. It's just that our pioneers having to look at testing the waters with these kind of ideas. And it would we have students who just want to revamp old things.
But that's most encouraging. I'm happy to hear this. Since you have a very close relationship with students, I trust you when you say that. And I'm happy that, you are changing my perceptions and you are reassuring me.
Yes.
Because that's actually what I wanted to hear. That there are a lot of students who actually like the idea of breathing in new life into old clothes, and that is not going to take the bread or away from you, metaphorically speaking, because we don't all eat bread in Ghana, but that is not going to take away the daily bread from our craftsmen and women. So on this note, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Let's continue the conversation. More grease to your elbows. Kudos. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep encouraging other designers to follow in your steps.
Thank you so much, B, for reaching out to me with your team. It's been amazing.
Great pleasure. Thank you so much. Meet Erese Ansah. Erese Ansah is a final year student at the University of Ghana, majoring in education and English literature. She also doubles as a fashion designer, or rather redesigner, of used denim, which she transforms into very exciting pieces of fashionable accessory. Issy, I would like to know what exactly it is that you do. I know I've introduced you as a fashion redesigner of used denim clothing, but I'd like you to tell our viewers and participants rather what exactly it is that you do, and maybe also why you do it.
I upcycle used denim clothes, especially denim jeans, and then I make fashionable pieces from the denim clothes. So I do bags, from small bags to big bags to very, very huge bags. I also use denim to fix shoes. I use denim to fix books. Because of my family orientation, I grew up from a place where reuse was something we have to do. Because of the influx of denim clothing around, and then the way people treat denim in this country, because denim has come to stay. We have a lot of denim pieces in this country. However, when someone is done wearing their denim jeans, they do not reuse them. Usually they throw it away. So what I'm doing, or why I'm doing this, is because I want to raise an awareness that you can reuse the denim. Aside being an education student, I'm not focusing on just teaching English in the classroom. I also want to teach reuse, recycle, and then creativity among children.
Issy, let's be honest, you are fascinated with denim, which is actually jeans. I know you know a lot about the origin of jeans, which, by the way, comes from Genova. We are in a gallery that belongs to a Genovese, a friend of ours. Yes, so we're very grateful. Definitely. Thank you so much, Andrea J. Walter. We're very happy to be here. So I would like to know the thing with waste colonialism, which you touched on already, is that it's not just denim that comes in colossal quantities into Ghana. Yes. It's generally a lot of, crazy amount of used clothing. So why the specific fascination with denim? Because you don't just go and buy denim because it's in abundance. You know quite a bit from our previous conversations. I know that you are very, very knowledgeable about everything, the whole process of manufacturing jeans, all the pollution involved in actually when jeans is being manufactured or produced. So at which point did you realize that you have this fascination for denim specifically and not for used clothes in general?
Okay. I like denim so much because of its malleable nature and then the history behind it. So denim first was used as work clothing because it was very durable, and then denim has the history of when it was part of the rebellious generation where the younger generation didn't want to wear the suits like the older ones, so they wanted to be free to wear the denim. So denim has the freedomness attached to it. And then denim was also part of the feminist movement when they're like, women can wear jeans too. That's why I love denim.
Considering that denim is made of cotton, cotton is a natural fiber. Yes. So why is denim not biodegradable?
Okay, so first of all, it's because of the chemicals that are being used to dye the denim. And then secondly, because of fast fashion. So we are not getting the hard denim or like the original denim. We also have the synthetic denim where we want it to be elastic.
Okay, so
those ones are not biodegradable, or it will take like 200 years to biodegrade and all, because of the synthetic fibers that is being added to make it stretchy and fit and have the pencils.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, then the denim that is made with 100% cotton is biodegradable. If there's no elastan added to it, even if it's dyed with, or bleached, that denim can biodegrade over time. It's just a question of time, right?
Yes.
But it's biodegradable, just that it will take
a
a long time.
Yes.
probably less than maybe something totally synthetic.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, great. So for now, we've established for a fact that you are fascinated with denim because of its rich history. And so like you have this love-hate. Is it fair to say that you have a love-hate relationship with denim?
Yes, I do.
Where denim is a villain, and yet
Yes,
you
so
love it
my
so
love.
much
Yes.
because you specifically want to
want
work with denim.
Yes.
Okay,
And
great.
also because it's even though it's not in our culture, like we like the kinties, but then it's now part of the modern
World or modern life
in Ghana.
Okay, so we can say that denim is synonymous with modernity.
Yes, in Ghana.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes, that's what
that anybody in our parts of the world who wants to be perceived as modern as opposed to traditionalist,
yes,
all they have to do is to wear a pair of jeans, or whether it's a pair of jeans as in trousers, or have one of your lovely bags.
Yes.
That is enough. So that this is quite interesting how denim. Do you think that's the reason why denim has proliferated so much in our parts of the world, because of our desire to project a modern, kind of civilized, quote unquote, image of ourselves to the world?
Yes.
Okay, so that's quite interesting. Anyway, denim, it's quite obvious that denim is here to stay. As you rightly said, we just need to find ways of first of all considering how much damage already denim has caused whilst it was being produced. I know that you are students at the University of Ghana, and I can imagine the load of academic work that you have to be, especially now that I know you're actually preparing for exams. So that must be quite daunting, having to juggle between going for classes. I also know that you make time for the children in your neighborhood.
Yes.
You try to impart some knowledge, not just about upcycling, but also how to paint. So my question is, how do you manage to find time for studying, teaching, and also upcycling denim?
With the time management, I multitask. So I have class, and then I come back and then do a little bit of cutting of the strips that I'll work with, and then pause a bit and then see the two girls that I teach to paint after school. By then they would come, and then we get the canvases and then paint. We go back to class, work. Any little time I get, then I work on the denim stuff because of school. But then when school is done, I have vacation at home where I can work more on the denim and find new things I can do with the denim.
Great. And so, Essie, since when have you been doing this actively?
Okay, so I've been actively working on denim since January. However, I've been crocheting for most of my life. And then I did it intensively for 1.5 years now. But then, before working with denim, I won't say that I have not seen inspiration. I've been inspired by people who cut denim and then try to reuse them for pieces. So I was very intrigued, okay, how do I crochet the denim, and then what I do, how do I mix denim with the crochet? And that is where it came about in January, before an exhibition I have where I made big bags and small bags to show everyone that you can use denim and crochet together. So
Wonderful.
That is where the working with denim started. Yes.
Great. What are challenges that you faced, if any?
Yes, so with working with denim, the first thing is the physical challenges. Cutting denim is very tedious. You can hurt your knuckles, you can hurt your wrist. I've had occasions where the scissors broke while trying to cut it, and then the weaving process can hurt your fingers and all. However, it's also very nice when you're working with denim, because while you're cutting and then it's hurting, like you're finding new ways not to hurt yourself and learning more about the fabric you're working with, and then you get to know that, oh, the synthetic ones feel this way and then these ones feel this way, and this is how. So it's a learning process together with the challenges. And then the second challenge is when it comes to social, how people perceive the work. Some people think it's a waste. Why are you? They won't reuse the denim. However, when you're reusing it, they're like you're destroying it, but then they'll prefer to throw it away than to cut it. So that orientation of it's trash, why are you wasting your time on it, is also there. However, it does not have an influence on me because of my background and orientation, but then it's sad to see that the mentality of reuse is not
something that has taken hold or ingrained in us.
No.
So is it fair to say that we have serious challenges when it comes to behavior and attitude?
I'm doing this to educate people. So when you're trying to educate people and they're coming from that standpoint, it's more challenging than teaching kids. Like, oh, if you don't throw this away, you do it this way, it's easier. But then when you come to your peers and then you have to now explain simple things like why it is important to save the planet and how this is going to save the planet, that is the challenge.
You see, I feel your pain. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Indeed, I believe the only hope that we can allow ourselves to hope for is probably the younger up and coming generation. We're hoping that we can contaminate them with some good behavioral patterns. Now, I'd want to, at this stage, I'd want to play the devil's advocate. In our parts of the world, owning very good quality clothes cost a lot. And there's the general attitude of, oh, every time, that lady who is always wearing the same red dress to every event. So how do we, how do we go about this? Because we live in a society where you're expected to show up always looking nice, and nice means that you cannot wear the same outfit all the time. How do we change that? I mean, I know that the whole fast fashion thing is killing us. I'm just playing the devil's advocate here.
All comes down to styling.
Sure.
We always don't need new clothes. We want new clothes. We always don't need new clothes. So we can style, we can change, we can explore our creativity and then come out looking awesome.
Do you believe that this could grow into something bigger at some point? I mean, like, for example, apart from the children that you teach in your, at home where you live, have you been able to, in your entourage, have any of your friends kind of like joined the whole movement? Do you have any collaborators? Does anybody supply you with their denim? Do they help you sometimes, or they're too busy with their lives?
Yes, so with the denim jeans, I do not buy it from the Broniwewu. I get it from friends. So
okay, we have an international audience, so we probably need to explain what Broniwewu means.
Yes, so Broniwewu is a term for second-hand clothing being sold in the marketplaces in Ghana. So we call it Broniwewu.
The literal translation
is a white man is dead, or a white person.
A dead white person's clothes. It's terrible.
Yeah. So I get my denim from friends and then from households because I'm instigating the reuse mentality. So when you give me your denim clothes, you'll be wondering what I'm going to use it to do. So you probe further and then you realize that I'm making beautiful art pieces from the clothes and then different pieces from the denim fabric. I do get help from friends who are intrigued to know how the weaving process is. So I've gotten help from friends also who have joined me to weave some of the bags sometimes and have like a chit chat about how to cut it and all. And it also instills this, oh, clothes can be reused again, or everything is reusable. And then to me, this is, in the future to come, I want it to be like an educative thing where there are art centers or recycling places where we have the artists and the children are coming in, and where people come and research on like clothes and not just denim, because I would like it to expand to other fabrics, and then where everyone is into reusing, reinventing, where we could be making like furniture, not just or maybe move into construction or engineering, like where reuse of fabric goes from just being fashion to being art, to being the science, to being the social, to being like the talk, where everyone is into it, like what is it? Do you want to research further, where it becomes something that I would like to use the word a trend, because trends are in the mind, so it has to be in here. And my definition of success is where you have value because of your mindset that is on the right track. So if the mindset is on the right track, definitely we're going to make a positive impact in the future. Even though what I'm doing right now is a tiny drop in the ocean, I know that very soon it will have the rippling effects, and then we all have the generation that is interested in the future for tomorrow and not what we want today for ourselves.
Fantastic. So basically, on this note, thank you all very much for joining us, and we hope to continue this conversation further with you all and with other members of the Global Fashioning Assembly, as well as the Ghana International Fashion Team.
I'm Frederick Bamfo, an artist from Ghana who work between Cape Coast and Kumasi. I'm interested in, I basically work within the intersection of art and fashion. So my work is mostly within the space of fashion and art. So with this exhibition, I use largely denim materials. Denim materials, that's in terms of its history. So I look at the materials in terms of its history, and then the materiality of the denim material as well. So with the materiality, I'm looking at the cotton materials and how the production of it, of the cotton materials, and how these materials is being created into fabric and then also into clothes as well. So with this, as I said, I use elements from my background, which is Edinkra symbols. I think that for artists to work, you need to refer back to your origin. Otherwise, you'll be lost within the international world or the artistic space. So looking at this, the whole work is about art and then fashion, and then how I express myself within the two. But what is really prominent in my work is it's more lean towards fashion than art itself. But within this piece, I am mostly interested in the environment as well. So I don't really work by staying within my studio, but I work by engaging people, engaging with my audience. So instead of me concentrating on the details and then the intimate relations with the material, I look at it from public point of view, how to sort of allow the public to also have their say, or how you can also mediate between the artist and then the audience as well. So you realize that the picture that came, the material was stretched on the floor to make the contact with the floor. So my audience are tasked to create their own designs and all that, and then mount the designs on the fabric, the large quilts on the floor. In that, I'm interested in the architecture as well. So I'm not artist who is linear in a way, who is thinking in a linear way, but how to thread between disciplines. I'm talking about, in terms of discipline, I'm talking about painting, sculpture, fashion, and then architecture as well. So with this, I look at traditional, I always back to, I always reflect the tradition because of the denim material that I use. Denim material is sort of international material or globalized material. So in order to work and then balance your background and then the kind of material that you use, I think the soul of the work should come from your background. That is picking something from your background and then exhibiting it globally. So with this, the work actually reflects on the Fiancra symbols. Fiancra symbol is basically reflected in the compound house where we have courtyard system where people normally have conversations. So in terms of thinking about fashion, in terms of the body, how to cover the body, why not look at fashion in its public sense, where the fashion will create maybe the fabric will create the space that navigate our path. So it's like, okay, why not create multiple ways, like a maze form, where people can have conversation. So as I said, I'm looking at collaborations, I'm looking at participatory aspect of art, I'm looking at how
Frederick, I don't mean to interrupt you. I love your flow. I just realized that because we are addressing an international audience, at some point we would need to explain words like Idinkra symbols. If you mention that, then you are compelled to explain that you belong to an ethnic group called the Akans. You would have to tell us exactly what the word Idinkra means, you know, and then also how this intersection between a very traditional symbols and what means in modernity to us. How did you arrive at this? Because looking at some of your earlier works, you know, the booths that you used to create way back in, I think, 2016, you were just using, let's say, regular clothing. Now, my question to you is, were those secondhand clothes? Were your friends, like with AC, were your friends and family bringing you clothes? Were you buying these clothes? Were you collaborating with secondhand clothes dealers? Were those your personal clothes? And how did you progress or evolve, or whatever word we should use, from using regular clothing to denim? I see, like, you know, one of the reasons why you caught my attention and was terribly excited when I saw your installations at the Nabuki Foundation was because I was interested in denim, and that's what, you know, brought me to AC, and then I, you know, in fact, it was AC who went to the Nabuki Foundation and sent me pictures of your amazing installations. So I really want to understand how that journey, you know, from regular clothes to to denim specifically, and then also this mixture between your symbols, because they're your symbols. We need to stress that we are not a homogeneous people in Ghana. We're made up of very, very different ethnic groups, and these particular symbols may mean absolutely nothing to somebody from the north. They're not northern symbols. The fact that we've adopted them as our national symbols, that's a different story. So if you could, I'm sorry I had to cut in, but, I just wanted you to explain what Adinkra meant, generally what it means as a word, why it means something to you, talk a little bit about your your background, and then how you decided, how you came to this idea of combining these traditional symbols with something that is so modern.
Thank you very much. As I said, I use Adinkra symbols. Adinkra symbols are traditional symbols from the Akans of Ghana. So these symbols, Adinkra means farewell. So when they want to, they meaning Akans, when they want to create clothes for festivals to sort of celebrate the death, they actually use these symbols able to do that. So in terms of the clothing that they wear, they have meanings attached to these symbols. So looking at the function that they are going to celebrate, they create the symbols to suit, to link with the function, the kind of function. So in terms of as I said, funerals, they have symbols for it. They create symbols for it. And then if you are going for a wedding too, they have specific symbols for celebrating weddings and other ceremonies within the Akan tradition.
Fantastic. So before Sveta shows us some other photos, what is the name of this particular symbol and what does it mean? Just for us to understand why you picked this particular symbol, because it's uniform. You didn't use like 5 different ones. From what I can see, it's the same symbol that is, stamped. Did you stamp it, by the way? Did you personally stamp this symbol on the denim? Or was it the people who were participating in your project?
Yeah, so this particular one, it was a participatory work. I engaged with the audience and then they created the symbol, and then at a very large space, it was spread there, and then they stamped onto the fabric.
Fabulous. What is the name of this symbol and what does it represent? What is the name of it locally and what does it mean?
This symbol is Fiankra. Fi means a house, and then Ankra means courtyard. So it's a way of having a communal engagement, is a way of having conversation within the Akan tradition. So if you talk about Fiankra, it's about collaboration, it's about having conversation, a group of people having conversation and all that.
Fabulous, fantastic. I'm sure by the time we finish, if there's any of our participants who are interested in knowing a little bit more about the Akan Adinkra symbols, we could possibly give them some links so that they can further, acquaint themselves. So if I understood well, you took the concept of Akan compound houses, which have probably embossed Akan symbols, usually made out of mud, if I'm right. Yeah. Okay, we're talking about pre-cement area, right? So there were courtyards with the symbols, these very highly philosophical symbols, where people came together, to commune, to talk, to share. Am I explaining what you're saying correctly to our participants? Exactly. So that's where you got the concept. Okay, but why denim though? Like why denim? Why did you use? Yes.
Denim in the sense that there is this influx of flashy fashion into our space. Those trashy clothing into our space, it's kind of causing a lot of problems for us. We in Ghana, we have problem with waste management, and then if care is not taken, and then all these denim block our drainage system, sometimes it causes flooding in our cities, which is very, very worrisome. So I thought of it, why not kind of salvage some of these things and then at least work with it within the art circles to tell the problem, the climate problem. So it's like the farewell that I was talking about, the Dinkra giving farewell to. So it's like giving farewell to the clothing industry. Why not try to maybe give it some sort of afterlife? So it's like salvaging the material and then giving it second life within the art circles.
That's fabulous, fantastic. So this is this your own project, or this is what you did in collaboration with maybe some other artists? I know it's something that you work on or work with called the Blue Canvas project. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, please.
So can you maybe share some more info about this project?
Okay, so working with the conditions for engagement, condition for collaboration, I thought it wise to sort of create a hub where other artists also can benefit out of this kind of collaboration. So I created the space, and then the space is for residency and art exhibition. And then priority is given to artists who work with fiber, with textile material, or in its whether in material or in concept. So if you work with fiber or fabric or any textile material, and then you want to explore it with the community, having engagement with the public or with the audience, then this kind of residency is best fit for you.
Fantastic, fabulous. And I know that you recently had an exhibition in Kumasi, right? So
yes.
Just for our audiences to know, Kumasi is the capital of the Ashanti region, and Ashantis is basically Akan people. That's where most Akan people hail from, and it's also what used to be known as the Ashanti or Santi Empire. Am I right, Frederick?
Sure.
I don't want to misrepresent.
Sure, and then we believe Kumasi is the cultural center of Ghana.
Okay, we'll talk about that on a
people
different day.
I
believe I've had conversations with Angela previously, whereby I have tried to impress upon her and explain to her how an Akan fabric. By the way, there's one hanging. There's one represented in the painting behind Kente. You know, AC also has it on her lap. How we have. I don't know whether we have collectively adopted it or the Akan people have imposed their culture on us. You know, I have people who belong to other ethnic groups here who would, you know, I'm sure they would contest a lot of things, but for purposes of peace, you know, we're sowing a peaceful, not just a greener Ghana or greener future. We also want peace amongst the different ethnic groups. So we'll leave it at that, you know, that everything I can, from the symbols to the cloth, to the language, to everything, they are the most dominant, the most arrogant group. And so we just allow them for now to get away with it for purposes of peace. And for everybody to know, by the way, both AC and I are Akan. So, yeah, so I think so
we'll be allowed to get away with this since we belong to Frederick's ethnic group. It's okay, you know, we're being self-critical about our arrogance. So yeah, so this is absolutely fabulous. I'm also very happy that you did your exhibition. I want to once more refer to the Nabuki Foundation because I believe it's an amazing space for basically giving an opportunity for young and prominent artists to showcase their works. And also they support weaving communities. So there's that link between what you do, materials, fibers, fabrics, and what Nabuki is now doing in the northern part of Ghana. So I'd like to know where's all, you know, the same question I asked both Faustina and AC, where is all of this going? What is the future? What do you hope to achieve? Were there any challenges? And what is your vision for the future, specifically with waste colonialism, which is now really gotten to a point where, in fact, last week, a delegation flew in from a 10 person or a delegation flew in from Belgium representing different clothing brands. They wanted to come and see our infamous Kantamanto market with their own eyes. And they also wanted to visit the dumping sites, you know, and I thought that, okay, that is, you know, I don't know if that's some kind of greenwashing or just so that they will feel better when they go to bed at night. But okay, it was like they actually asked me and some other folks from the fashion, let's say the creative sphere or fashion sphere, what exactly can we do to help? So if you ask me, I'm thinking the first thing to do is to ban it all together. You know, but then that's hopeful wishing or hopeful thinking. You see, what do you think? What do you say about that, or what do you want to ask Frederick concerning the future of dumping and all of these clothing coming in? Like, do you believe there's any? Is there hope, Frederick? Is there hope?
Yeah. Okay, so on the question of the fashion, these clothings, dumping these clothing on us, I think it has to come from the top. I always think that if government should develop policies, viable policies that can sort of address this situation, it will help. But then I don't put the blame squarely on government. I think each of us has to do something. It should be a collective something. It should be
absolutely agree.
From all angles, from all industries, from all, because it's an existential crisis in our part of the world. So in tackling this, we need to sensitize people. Maybe people are not seeing the damage that is causing to our part of the world. So we have to, it has to be the forefront of our conversation. Always we have to talk about it so that it will reach to those we need to reach, so that proper remedies may come out of our toiling.
Sure. Thank you so much, Frederick. This is absolutely basically what we're all saying in different ways. You know, as creatives, we're trying to play our role, but I think essentially there must be some serious advocacy. There has to be a general change of attitude from, you know, from the people, from the consumers. And then also then either, you know, fortified or buttressed by policies. And so at this juncture, I think it's a good time to invite Sela J, who is a lecturer at it used to be NAFTI, but now I think it's been rebranded. So Sela is also allowing him to introduce himself, but just before he talks about himself, I'll tell that he's both a lecturer and a fine artist and a researcher, and he just published an amazing book about art that has been stolen and is being kept in Western institutions. So he's very knowledgeable also when it comes to waste colonialism. Over to you, Efo.
Yes, thank you very much, Bia, and I really applaud the Ghana International Fashion Team for all these brilliant presentation. And I'm very privileged and honored to kind of merge all these conversations together in this final presentation. So as Bia rightfully introduced me, my name is Sela. You can call me Efo Sela. I'm an artist, and then I also do a lot of research and curatorial work as well, and some transnational museum studies. And earlier this year, I curated the Wori Festival, which was themed on sustainability, giving the current generation the knowledges from our elders on how to create sustainable fabrics, and to also keep the environment very clean and healthy. And so I'll begin my presentation. Bia, okay, very good, thank you. Okay, great. Next slide, please. So I'll be talking more about the kind of problems that lead people like Essie, Faustina, and Frederick to create the kind of interventions that they create with their arts. And I think they've gone on and on about waste colonialism and how Ghana has become a kind of dumping site for fabrics and fast fashion from the West. And when you follow fashion, the fashion industry closely, you realize that Western fashion brands like H&M, Zara, and all these global brands, they prioritize mass production of low-cost clothing, which essentially encourages a wear and discard mindset. So people buy the clothes, and after some time, they just discard it, and we have a pile up of discarded clothes with very poor waste management system. And in this process, the unsold clothes and the secondhand clothes from the Western fashion stores are exported to countries like Ghana under the guise of donations or resale, which overwhelms our local markets. And indeed, research shows that Ghana is one of the largest secondhand clothing markets in West Africa, and we receive millions of garments on a weekly basis, and 60% of these clothes end up in landfill sites due to poor quality, and then also, as I said earlier on, lack of proper waste management system. So the intersection of high imports of secondhand clothing with poor waste management infrastructure leads to the exacerbation of some of these problems that I keep talking about, with the main issue being environmental degradation, particularly through textile waste that clog waterways and pollutes the environment. I think Frederick Banfo has already mentioned this. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this slide shows the value chain of the used clothes economy and the environmental degradation and health hazard they pose in our communities when they are disposed of. The sheer volume of textiles imports from the West results in an overflow of these waste materials into our landfills and informal waste dumps. And textiles waste contain synthetic fibers like polyester, which do not decompose easily. They are not biodegradable and contribute to long-term environmental harm. And there's this group in Ghana called the Plastic Punch that cleans the plastic that piles up in our beach fronts in Accra. And apart from the plastic that they clear, they also clear discarded waste materials like the textiles that ends up in our water bodies. And why this is a very big environmental challenge is the fact that the coastal areas along Accra, the Sakumono Beach to the Nungwa and the Pram Pram side serves as a spawning grounds for sea turtles. They come every year to come and lay their eggs and go. And when they come and they are along the shores of the beach, they mistake some of these microplastics and microfibers as food. And when they ingest them, it creates all kinds of problems. And so when you look at this value chain, you see how the t-shirts from the West, the secondhand clothes, goes through the various chain systems and then eventually ends up in our waterways and in also the environment. Next slide, please. Good. So waste colonialism refers to the practice of wealthier countries exporting their waste to economically weaker nations under the guise of trade or aid or donations or all these labels that they like to call them. And Ghana has become a major dumping ground for Western fashion waste, particularly Accra and Tema, because Tema is where our main port is. So that's where all these secondhand clothes are imported, and that's where it's collected by all these traders. Now, the problem of waste colonialism has left Ghana vulnerable to become the de facto landfill site for Europe and North America's textiles waste. And a continuous influx of waste clothing from the West perpetuates an economic dependency while reinforcing a colonial paradigm of exploitation. And Kantamanto is a specific case study. In Accra, Kantamanto serves as the #1 spot, or you can call it the epicenter of secondhand clothing trade in Ghana, and it receives over 15 million garments each month. About 40% of these clothes that are traded in Kantamanto are of such poor quality that they cannot be resold. So once you are done using them, it ends up as it accumulates as waste in the environment. And the textiles overproduction and the waste shipments symbolizes how waste colonialism is a major problem that we have to deal with at the state level. And this also becomes burdensome for our governments because we are already dealing with a lot of sanitation problems, and then this textiles waste also comes to add up to the problems that we are dealing with. Next slide, please. So global fashion trends have infiltrated Ghanaian consumer habits, shifting from traditional, long-lasting clothing and also reusing clothes and remaking clothes and repairing clothes like Faustina demonstrated, for a preference of Western-style, cheap and disposable garments. Now, this shift is fueled by the perception that secondhand Western clothes represent social mobility and quote-unquote modernity. I think, Bia, you captured this in your interview with both AC and Faustina. The increasing acceptance of Western fashion consumption patterns accelerates a kind of throwaway culture where clothing is treated as disposable rather than durable or reusable. And I think Faustina really demonstrated this in her drive to rekindle that spirit of remaking and repairing torn clothes or tattered clothes. For me, this was also something that I grew up with. When your clothes get torn, you reuse them or you repair them to use them. And this is even linked to fabrics of clothes that are imported. our authentic Ghanaian fabrics like the kente and the fugu and all these locally made fabrics are very strong, and they can withstand a lot of pressure and doesn't get torn easily. And that's why some people can have kente that has been passed on for about 2 or 3 generations, the same as the batakari that you see in your slide right now. They are woven very well, and the yarns that I use are very strong and resilient. And so it's not a fabric that easily gets destroyed or easily get torn. And that's why we are able to pass it on to our children, to our grandchildren, and it becomes like a family legacy of some sort, if I should put it that way. Next slide, please. Now, Ghanaian fashion designers and artisans are becoming very much aware of all these conversations that we are having and turning to upcycling and repurposing as ways to combat textiles waste. So designers like Atu Tete, Kweku Bediako of chocolate clothing, Awuku Makafui of Macintosh Creatives, AC, whom you've just seen speak, have a conversation with Dia, and then also, of course, Frederick Banfo, whose installation you see in the shot. They are beginning to incorporate secondhand clothing, secondhand textiles and fabrics into their designs and repurposing some of these discarded garments into high fashion pieces, and then also art installations to curb the problem of textiles waste in our environment. And such initiatives and interventions promote sustainability and redefines the narrative around African fashion, African arts, African textiles, and promotes local craftsmanship and heritage while challenging some of these disposable mindsets. Next slide, please. Now, creative practitioners also play a key role in preserving traditional crafts and textiles, and research on sustainable kente production illustrates how local designers are reimagining traditional textiles within a contemporary fashion context, advocating for sustainable production methods that aligns with Ghana's cultural heritage. By promoting these designs, they offer alternatives to fast fashion and encourage consumers to value durable, culturally significant clothing over disposable Western garments. Now, the reason why we are still battling with some of these secondhand clothes is it's like a double-edged sword. In one situation, these fast fashion and secondhand clothing that is imported into Ghana ends up in landfill site. They become textiles waste. And on the other hand, it's a kind of economic dependence. One of the primary obstacles that we face in dealing with, in practically dealing with an excess of secondhand clothes is the fact that people depend on secondhand clothes markets. Many Ghanaians rely on these markets for affordability because that's what they can afford. That's the kind of clothes that they can afford, making it difficult for state regulation and for government to push for reforms that will limit or completely ban secondhand imports. And indeed, closing these markets without offering economic alternatives could indeed harm low-income communities and completely shut down the economy of trading in secondhand clothes, because people's livelihoods depend on secondhand clothes. People make a living out of selling secondhand clothes, and people are only able to afford secondhand clothes because that's what their income can allow them to do. Ghana's waste management infrastructure is currently not fully developed with a sufficient logistics and capacity to handle the growing volume of textiles waste. And without government investment in proper recycling and waste management facilities, efforts to mitigate textiles waste at a local level is completely impractical. It's going to be stalled at every step of the way because the structures are just not reliable or they are not efficient enough. Consequently, advocates of are often forced to deal with both the systemic and infrastructural simultaneity. Because if you even have the willpower and you're an activist and you want to champion the cause of curbing textiles waste in Ghana, you are met with these institutional and infrastructural and logistical problems. Okay, so if you're an activist and you're always calling for the textiles waste to be removed or taken out of our society, now when it gets to the actual practical steps to take for us to clear this on a national level, then we are faced with logistical problems. Apart from the interventions that the artists are doing, we are not able to have that full government support because of all these problems that I'm outlining. Next slide, please. So the Ghana government has been slow to regulate. So based on the reasons that I gave, the Ghanaian government has been a bit reluctant and slow to regulate the import of secondhand clothing, and the existing policies are not being fully enforced. That's another problem too that we encounter. Now, while the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA in Ghana, has policies on waste management, they lack the resources and the political will to enforce these regulations on textiles waste. Advocates are calling for stricter import controls and greater investment in local textiles industry as a way to curb the influx of secondhand garments. Those of, my Ghanaian counterparts can recall that during the Kufuor administration, one of the ways to deal with the problem of imported Western clothes is the National Friday wear that required corporate workers and government workers to wear traditional attires to their workplace to boost the local economy and to also allow people to take pride in their local attires. Next slide, please. Now, addressing waste colonialism requires international cooperation. It requires teamwork. It requires partnering with the right stakeholders for the countries that are involved in this whole value chain of the secondhand clothes economy. And the countries that are exporting waste must also be held accountable, because Ghana must not be a dumping site or a landfill site for secondhand clothes. It's equally possible to redistribute these secondhand clothes in these very same countries that are exporting them to Ghana. And Ghana must work with international bodies such as the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, to push for more stringent global regulations on the export of textiles waste. Without such cooperation, Ghana will still remain a dumping ground for foreign fashion waste. Fashion enthusiasts, social activists must also continue, and artists like AC and Frederick Banfo, and textiles designers like Faustina must continue doing their work in raising awareness to shift public consciousness. We must explore more practical steps and strategies for shifting public consciousness around waste, focusing on educational campaigns and community-led initiatives, grassroots movements in Accra and all the major cities. Such an example is the Fashion Revolution in Ghana movement, and they have been working seriously to educate consumers about the environmental and economic impact of fast fashion and to promote sustainable fashion choices. Every Ghanaian also has a role to play in raising awareness of waste culture. Individual actions such as supporting local designers, participating in textiles recycling program, and reducing consumption of fast fashion and also repairing torn or worn out clothes are crucial in combating the problem. These grassroots initiatives, supported with governmental action and state regulation, could collectively reduce Ghana's textiles waste burden. So it's a whole national effort that we have to pull together to combat this problem. Last slide, please. And before I end my presentation, I also want to finally say that textiles waste, especially synthetic materials, can take 100 years to decompose. And this has a long-term effect on the soil that we grow our foods on, the water that we drink from, particularly in the regions near the landfill sites. And so we must endeavor to protect our ecosystem, because in the long run, if we don't take good care of it, it poses health risks to all of us. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ethel. That was fabulous. And I like the way, basically, you know, everybody's presentation. I like the way you sort of nicely and academically provided us with statistics and, you know, gave us an in-depth understanding of the problem. I'm happy you mentioned plastic punch, because actually, probably unbeknownst to you, I've actually been using fashion for activism. So I've also, you know, worked on a project, my personal project, which I dubbed the Deep Blue Project. And it came from the simple reason that it was impossible for me, without having to travel for kilometers out of Accra, to be able to go and spend, you know, an afternoon by the beach, not necessarily the weekend. Sometimes I used to just go and sit by the beach, you know, in the afternoons, any beach that's not too far from town. And the beaches were so filthy, it got me, I literally got the blues. So like there's a pun, because the deep blue is referring to the ocean, but it also refers to the deep blues, you know, that I felt each time I went to the beach. So I thought of, somehow I needed to react, you know, I needed to do something. And so this particular slide that you're seeing now is actually a collaboration with AC, which was for the Alliance Française Environment Week, which was just this June. And this was called Waste Not, Want Not, where AC got one of the vendors from Kantamanto to bring us several of what you call the Ghana Must Go bags filled with stinky secondhand clothing, which we then spread all over the conference room, made sure that we put the AC on, you know, to circulate the foul odor, and then invited technocrats from both the EPA and Ministry of Fisheries. In addition to, obviously, there were participants, there were representatives from Plastic Punch, or Foundation. So we put them in there and we tried to make them as uncomfortable as possible. This is just the beginning. It got worse later, because they were hanging from the ceiling. There were brassieres, you know, underwear, you name it, all type of stuff, you know. If you could please show rather the deep blue, one of the pictures, yes. So this was my deep blue project, and it was, as I said, it stemmed from a personal, you know, sadness from going to the sea. Now, what happened was that I decided I just go to the sea, and whatever I find there, I'm going to pick it, and then I will also add my own detritus or trash or whatever you want to call it to it, and make something out of it. Obviously, as a fashion designer, I knew it was going to end up on some clothing, some outfit. So whilst I was busy trying to see what exactly I was going to do with a piece of discarded net that I found on the beach, I was lucky to get a piece of salmon, you know, salmon colored hand woven fabric. And I always like fabrics that are woven by women. I personally, as much as I'm very proudly Akan, and I love Kente, it's beautiful and gorgeous, I believe, I like the fact that some of these fabrics like the fugu and other fabrics. This particular one is actually from Nigeria. It was sent to me. And it was my way of supporting a weaving community there. So I came up with this garment. And then I also ordered, so if you see the fabric, this is probably what you call tie and dye. I later realized that the pattern on it, at the time, it wasn't conscious, but it looked like I had taken a plastic bottle. You see the design at the base of the plastic bottles where we buy water. They usually look floral. So if I were to take a bottle and dip it in white paint and stamp it on this indigo cloth, that is the exact, maybe this one's a slightly bigger, but that's the exact pattern I would get. So I came up with this idea of the Deep Blue project. What was also exciting about it was that it ended up becoming a sort of like an all-female project, because the assistant, let's call her assistant designer, who helped me to cut and stitch the outfit, was a young model who decided to become a designer. The photographer was also a lady called Elomayai. An assistant was a lady. So somehow the whole project became about, like female collaboration and empowerment. And I felt like it was good to show that, women were coming together to some kind of eco-feminist, eco-action to decry problems. Now, in this case, as you can see, and as you mentioned, there is both a mixture of plastic, all kinds of trash, discarded hair pieces, like what I'm having on my head now, what we call extensions. In fact, you could get anything. It's like going to a supermarket. You could buy everything, used tires, discarded underwear, toothpaste, brushes, absolutely disgusting. So we tried to find the most disgusting beach close to Accra, not too far, where we could do this photo shoot. And then later I found out that there's this thing called ADLFG, which is abandoned, damaged, or lost fishing gear. Like at the time I was actually working on this project with the other ladies, I was not even aware of that. So it was later when I joined a circular economy group, I realized that it was a big problem, because our fishermen usually dump these nets, which are then washed back into the ocean. And of course, they do what you call ghost fishing. So they trap marine life. And then talking about the very turtles that you mentioned. So in fact, right now it's so bad that there is an organization, a foundation, which is called Chain Afrique, and they literally go to all these fishing communities and they offer to buy the damaged nets from them, just so that they will not abandon them on the beaches or leave them. Sometimes when they are fishing and it's spoiled, like, okay, we're not going to carry this load with us back, we'll just throw it into the sea. So there's this whole thing of education that they're trying to make people understand that you can't do that. You're trapping the fishes. If you consume them, at least it's beneficial. But if you leave a piece of nylon single filament net to be at the base of the ocean where it's trapping marine life and it's toxic no matter what, right? It will take up to hundreds and hundreds of years. So they're doing all of this. So for me, it was interesting how something that started as my own personal project, lamenting, not being able to go to the beach, how it turned out to be a kind of like, as I said, a feminine collaboration, me ending up inadvertently referring to ghost fishing and saving the turtle. So this was it's a very meaningful a project for me that I'm very proud of. I was hoping that it would be exhibited at the V&A, but by the time the outfit was ready, unfortunately, it was too late. So I used the photos were exhibited at the Alliance Française in June during the Environment Week, which initially Sveta or Svetlana showed us, where AC and I I was sitting. So yeah, so just for Stella to know that yes, I mean I've transitioned from being just a fashion designer who was basically trying hard to find her mixed identity, you know, whereby I believe most people who know me that I'm of mixed heritage. I grew up in Ukraine. Came back to Ghana, and for me, fashion was definitely about telling stories. So I was trying to find my own story, and I was trying to make people look good. And I've come to realize that as creatives, we have to be at some point militants, and we can't just do art for art's sake. You know, just like Faustina, yourself, Fred, AC, and many more. It's come to a point where whilst we need to use all these available to us venues and possibilities and creative expressions to now focus, throw some light, shine some very serious headlights on this problem of fast fashion, of waste colonialism, of filth, of pollution. And as you rightly said, Salah, that the change must happen. We need attitudinal change. So it means it comes with education. So in my case, AC, just like AC tries to educate children through art, through painting, through knitting, I'm also trying to collaborate with a lot of foundations that target children, because it's virtually impossible to change the mindset of adults, who are stuck in their ways. And as you said, people are looking for any way to make an income. And somehow I find this very interesting. When I was in university, we kept talking about, I studied sociology, we kept talking about the generations to come, the yet to be born, how we had to preserve land to pass it on to the generations that are yet to be born. And by, the water bodies had to be clean and everything. So I believe that we've lost our soul, we've lost our conscience, we've lost everything to how do we make a buck at any cost, and we no more revere anything. So I think there's that aspect of religion also, the contamination, the fact that our mindset has been changed. You can do anything you want and go and pray and you'll be forgiven the next day, as opposed to if you pollute the sea and if you pollute the rivers and if you pollute the airs, the ancestors will punish you or the gods will punish you. So I believe, and who knows better than Salah J, who's actually he's a specialist in local religions and traditions. He knows that us losing our traditions, our religion and our beliefs is what has brought us where we are today. We don't cherish anything. We don't cherish anything. It's all about, I have 5 children to feed, so sorry, it's justifiable. I'm going to sell secondhand clothes because other than that, my children will be hungry, and the next thing you know, they're going to be armed robbers or thieves, or they're going to do, internet scam or whatever. So at this stage, since I have 5 or 6 children to feed, it's okay, whatever I do, who cares, who cares about the environment? So I believe that we really need to, coming back to my favorite word, Sankofa, we need to go back to how we used to cherish certain things, from clothes to the environment, to our relationships, to doing things together, to mending. And, it all sounds like gloom and doom, but I want to have faith that, people that, that we, at least if, the 5 of us, and I'm sure there are much more, if we all from our, little corners try to impart knowledge, try to inspire, try to advocate, I believe that, we'll go forward. At this stage, with your permission, Svetlana will show you 2 very short reels that I made. One was for the 8th of June, which is World Ocean Day. It's pretty short. And then the second one is also about Environmental Week at Alliance Française. Yeah, unfortunately, I can see that there is no sound. So I probably will have to comment. What am I seeing now? Svetlana? We are seeing something else. We're seeing.
You don't hear the sound?
No, we couldn't hear the sound, so I unmuted myself, so at least I could explain a little bit what was going on. Otherwise, it's not, it's not clear to the viewers. And now we're actually seeing weather, explore beautiful castles, gladiator trailer. I think your PC is showing us something else rather than the real.
Sorry, I try to share the screen again.
Okay, no worries. I think we still have a few minutes before we move to the sharing council.
So
I take this opportunity to tell everybody to please do not log off after the official presentation is over. We still have an hour of sharing council where we can all share, you can, it's not necessarily a Q&A, you can share your ideas, your opinions, agree, disagree, enlighten us, what we don't know, we can engage with each other. So please stay with us after GFA stops recording our session.
So do you see the screen? Do you see?
Yes, please. We do see the screen. We see 8th June.
Okay, I will start video now. Please let me know if you hear the sound.
Sure.
Still no sound.
Yes, we hear, yes. So I will go ahead and comment anyway. So this is like an entangled dream. So this is my sort of like my nightmare, basically. So what you're seeing now is me dreaming about getting entangled in a net at the beach. So this is what we're currently seeing. So it all looks a little bit messy, just like dreams are. So now we wake up and now you see a beach in a different location, still in Accra, and then it gives you, this is not one of the filthiest beaches, but it still gives you an idea of how the beaches look. These are some of the nets that I mentioned. This is plastic trash that is dumped. So this is the project that I mentioned, the outfit that I constructed together with Gina Kala, who is a young designer. So partnered with her, and then we put this skirt and bodies together. As you can see, I told you the pattern looks like a stamp with a plastic bottle, which was subconscious. Honestly, it was not intentional. And this is when I decided to join Plastic Punch for one of their cleanup exercises actually it's not even the outskirts. This is a beach very close to the city center. So they, I joined them for their cleanup. There were a lot of children that came. Yeah, it was great. This is Elo Mayai, the photographer, who will kindly agree to collaborate with me. This was her first fashion shoot, by the way. So just quite excited. So we did this fashion shoot in a very historical part of Accra, which is like close to Jamestown. These are the edited pictures from the shoot. So that's the model Julie, the outfit standing on a pile of nets. These nets were not abandoned, by the way. They were actually left there. It was Tuesday. So basically this is a very short clip about the cleanup, and voila. And then now we can quickly show the next short clip, which is.
Do you see it?
Yes, please. We see a green screen.
Yes.
Yes. So this was earlier this year. So I invited my friends to join me. I collaborated with Alliance Française. I was the curator of this fashion activism event. So I got nets that have been rescued. These are nets that were given to me by Chain Afrique. They were rescued from fishermen, I think, in the Volta region. And so I borrowed them for my installation, on which I collaborated with AC, sitting next to me right here quietly.
Sorry for
Yes, I see the screen is frozen.
Yes, should I stop the sound so we will hear you, or it's okay?
Sure, you can stop the sound. If yes, then I can comment. Yes. Yes, so voilà, this is on the premises of Alliance Française. And so you know, I was allowed to invite artists or activists of my choice to, you know, to come and also have their installations there. So my installation was called Toxic Truths Where Plastics Lie. So of course the word lie is a pun. So literally where plastics lie on the ground, and also as a lie. And so yeah, so as you can see, these are just little images of everything is upcycled or recycled. This is polystyrene. That was Madonna of the Plastic Forks. This is AC and myself. This is also some other artists. One is was interesting because one of the artists was from Barcelona. Then we had AC. Then some other two Ghanaian artists. So yeah, so this is these are the technocrats. These are all this. You see all the clothing hanging from everywhere. We put it on the stage, underwear. So yeah, this is what we did to create some awareness and some education and engage with both the media and the public. And then we had a poetry. I also am part of the poetry ensemble. So AC joined us for our poetry, you know, performance. And so yes, it was really great, poesy ensemble. And then I wrote a poem. I'm not a poet, but I decided to challenge myself and write a poem, which I called or dubbed or titled Toxic Truth. So actually, you don't have to put on the sound because I managed to transcribe it. So I will perform it, and you would actually see the words, you know, of the poem. And what was amazing was that the attendees, sadly mostly foreigners, brought their children, but none of the Ghanaians who attended the event brought their children. That for me was heartbreaking because it felt like we were preaching to the choir. You know, a lot of the foreigners who were there were already people who are either actively recycling, upcycling, or advocating. And we wanted our message to reach Ghanaians, and we would have loved them to bring their children, you know, because it was quite, it was colorful and fun, and kids found it very attractive. And as you can see, they actually sat very close to the stage, and they were watching, you know, they were looking, they were listening. So yeah, so it was. I believe that we made an impact, and we need to do much more of this type of interventions, disruptive, as Angela would say, disruptive interventions. So yes, basically, that's it. It would end soon, and then or
Cry. The toxic
yes,
truth
so
for plastics lie. about my utter disillusion, about this hazard called pollution. In oceans deep, on mountains high, with every plastic thing we buy, the toxic fragments swirl and spin, testament to our grievous sin. The fish that swim, the birds that fly, they all will slowly, surely die. The land once lush, with verdant green, is now a shameful, messy scene. We look to heaven for salvation, but treat our earth with denigration. We throw the plastics on the floor, pretend it's normal, and ignore. Madonna of the plastic forks, who stands, observes, and never talks. She knows the truth we seek to hide. And plastic stuff will never die. We turn away, ignore the cost. The price will pay, our nature lost. But with this sorrowful expression, I seek not just to give depression. For in our hands, the future lies. And through our deeds can hope arise. So act we must, no more postponing. This place is home to kids we are born in. Together strong we'll stand and strive to keep our Mother Earth alive. Thank you very much.
Voila, that's it. Thank you all so much. I think we're done with the official recorded presentation. We'll now move to the sharing council. I can't wait to hear your comments, contributions. So please stay with us, don't leave. And once more to all our friends, well-wishers, to the GFA family, we're very grateful. Thank you. Thank you for making time, for us today. We hope that you learned something, or you're inspired, or maybe you can teach us something. We're desperate, and this for us is like group therapy. We all have problems, and we all need to vent. We don't necessarily have the solution, but you feel like you've shared the problem, so maybe you feel a little bit lighter. The problem doesn't really go away. We still need to all sit down and see how we can find some solutions. It might be temporary, but that's how things work. Sometimes you find a temporary solution and then maybe another one comes, and as time goes by, hopefully we'll change our attitudes, our mentality, and our government will change, or I'd rather implement existing policies. Thank you all so much. This was Sowing a Greener Future for Ghana.